Ladies, how are you? And today we're going to be talking about how do you store cases of water bottles? In your kitchen or where? What do we do with these? Now, if you notice, mine has label missing. There's a reason the label's missing. That is because in our house, I don't like to get mine mixed up with everybody else's. So I take my label off and I let them worry about who's got what bottle. I don't even play that game. But anyway, I am Deb. You are in the office with Deb, and we're talking about organizing those cases of water bottles that get really heavy. Now, when you've got a whole case of water, these water bottles are very heavy, and you got to be very careful with the plastic because they puncture easily, very easily. So, now I'm going to give you 4 ideas of what you could do with your water bottles. Now, number 1, for those of you that have a dolly, now you could store your cases of water bottle on the dolly in your kitchen so that when it comes time to washing your floor, you can move the dolly, roll it out of the way, and wash that area of the floor. I've seen that. Now, I want you to know, water bottles in the kitchen, there's no easy way to make water bottles look nice if you don't have the room. It is what it is, ladies. You have to keep your water bottles pop on the floor, whatever it is. That's the way it goes. Not all of us can hide all that. We're not the perfect Pinterest moms. Our houses are not the perfect Pinterest house either. There's just no easy way to store it. Now, you could also take the water bottles, stack them up in a corner in your kitchen against the 2 walls so that you've got the 2 walls and shove them up against the wall. I've seen that done too. And that works out well because they rest on the 2 walls. Because as you start taking the water bottles out, you know that it starts collapsing, the bag starts collapsing. So, you've got the dolly idea, and number 2, you've got the corner in the kitchen. Or even if you could get them anywhere in the kitchen, and then just wash the floor around them. I wouldn't even bother moving them because they're heavy. Now, somebody said, what about a shelf? If you're lucky enough to have a good wooden shelf that sits on the ground against the wall in your kitchen, and maybe it's got 3 or 4 shelves on it, always use the bottom shelf because of the heaviness of the water bottles. And you're not going to want to stack it on there. You're going to just put it on the shelf if it fits. And then if you have another set of shelves against another wall, make sure it's always on the bottom. The pop and the water has to go on the bottom because it's the heaviest. Now, it was said, what about putting a shelf on the wall? You can put a shelf on the wall. You just got to make sure it's in the studs, and I would triple nail that thing in because it's high up and you've got all these heavy water bottles on it, and hopefully it won't come down. It's got to really get into the studs because it's going to hold a lot of weight. Now, our TVs that we have on the wall now, they are not that heavy. Sometimes I think the water bottles are a lot heavier. So you really need something that's really, really nailed in the wall. Yes, you can do it. You just got to be careful. And if you got a husband or somebody that knows what they're doing, then ask them to do it. Even if you have to get a shelf 3 studs long, I would do that so that you have the extra, you can nail the stud in the middle too. You've got 1 stud, 2 stud, 3 studs. The more nails and the more in the stud to hold that shelf, or however they want to do it, they know what they're doing, the handyman, that's the way to go. With the 2 studs, you could have a collapse in the middle. I would go 3. That's the third idea, is the shelf idea. Now, my last idea. I'm lucky enough where I have a closet where I've got my totes in it, but right in front of the totes, when you open the double doors, I'm able to stack up the water cases. And they rest on the totes. I don't use these totes that often, which is great. They're just for storage. And I could still have hubby move the water bottles if I need to get in that tote, really get in that tote and get it out there. But that's what works well for me in our house. And I'm able to hide them, luckily. So this is just some ideas. It is not in the kitchen. It is in another room in the house, but it's in a closet. That's another idea. Some of you have basements. You could store it in the basement. I would be careful in the winter. I would not put them against a wall, a cold wall in the winter, especially if it's going to get cold. You don't want them freezing. And also in the summer, when it's real hot, I would be careful because you don't want it roasting in there. But usually the basement's cooler. Some of you, depending on where you live, you could put it in the garage because it's neutral temperature all year long. That's up to you. But those are my ideas for storing your water bottles. And know if you have no room in your kitchen and you have to stack things up, that's okay. We all have to do what we have to do. We don't have that kind of storage. So that's just a part of life. And ignore it in the corner because the rest of your kitchen looks great. We have to work with what we got, ladies, in our kitchen. And the more satisfied we become with things being out of place, but they're neatly contained, and that's where they fit, and that's what your family needs, the more we accept that, the better we feel about ourselves and our kitchens. So thank you, ladies, for hopping on today. And I will see you in the group.